The stars outside the window of the transport ship glowed softly as Commander Ryan Hale leaned back in his seat. His fingers tapped the armrest in a slow rhythm. It had been a long time since he visited this part of the galaxy. Too long, Zareth. Prime. The name alone brought back memories he tried to bury, memories of snow, silence, and silver eyes that watched him from the dark. Ryan was a decorated human pilot now. He had medals, missions, and scars. But 5 years ago, he was just a lost soldier, a man who crashed on a strange alien planet during a scouting mission that went wrong. His ship had been hit by a rogue asteroid. Communications had failed. No one knew where he was. He thought he would die there, till she found him. He never learned her name. The ship landed smoothly on the crystal landing platform of Zareth Prime. Their cities were grown from stone and light, shaped like flowers, and tall trees. The planet was cold, always covered in soft snow. But it was beautiful, like a dream frozen in time. A group of Alari diplomats stood waiting. They were tall and graceful. Their skin shimmered like moonlight, and their voices were like soft music. Ryan stepped off the ship, dressed in the black uniform of the United Earth Command. He kept his expression calm. He didn't know why his heart was racing. A tall Alari woman stepped forward. She was stunning. Long silver hair fell down her back, and her eyes were deep violet. She wore a flowing white robe marked with the symbol of the High Matriarch's line. She looked directly at Ryan. "Welcome back to Zareth Prime," she said in perfect English. Ryan blinked. Her voice, it was familiar. Too familiar. Then she smiled gently and said, "Do you remember me, human? I was the girl you shared a bed with years ago." The memory hit him like a wave. Snowstorm, a cave. He was injured, shivering. He thought it was the end. Then she came, young, quiet, wrapped in thick fur. She brought him food. Heat packs. She lay beside him in silence, sharing warmth during the endless nights. Not for romance. Not for desire. Just for survival, for kindness. She never told him her name. He was taken by a rescue team days later and never saw her again. Now she stood in front of him. Not as a lost girl in a cave, but as a powerful figure of her people. "Your name," Ryan said, his voice low. "I never knew your name." She bowed her head slightly. "I am Lyra, daughter of the High Matriarch." Later, they sat alone in a quiet garden surrounded by glowing flowers. Ryan sipped warm Alari tea, still trying to believe this was real. "You saved my life," he said softly. "Back then. And you were kind," Lyra replied. "Even when you were hurt, you smiled. I didn't forget." He looked at her closely. She had changed, grown stronger, wiser. But her eyes, those same gentle eyes, hadn't changed at all. Lyra's voice turned serious. "I didn't call you. Here, just for memory's sake, Ryan. Zareth is in danger." Ryan leaned forward. "What kind of danger?" "There's a growing movement among my people," she said. "They believe contact with humans made us weak. They think our culture's being corrupted by outsiders." Ryan frowned. He had heard such words before from other species who feared Earth's rise in the galaxy. "They want me removed," Lyra said, "because I supported the peace talks with Earth, and because of you." Ryan's heart tightened, because of what happened between us. She nodded slowly. "They say I was changed by a human, tainted. They don't care that we only shared warmth and nothing more. They use it to shame me." Ryan's fists clenched. "What can I do?" "I need someone I can trust," she said. "I don't know who in our council is loyal. I fear I am being watched. If they succeed, Zareth may fall under control of those who would ally with enemies of peace." He stared at her, then gave a slow nod. "I'll help you." They walked together under the twin moons of Zareth Prime. Snow fell gently. The air was cold. But between them, something warm had returned. Memory's trust, something unspoken. Lyra pointed to the distant mountains. "That cave is still there," she said, "where we hid, where we shared those nights." He smiled faintly. "I remember your hands shaking when you lit that small fire. And I remember you gave me the last of your food," she replied. "Even when you were starving." For a moment they both said nothing. just the quiet wind between them. Finally, Lyra whispered, "I never forgot you, Ryan, even when I thought I should." As they returned to the main city tower, a shadow moved on the rooftop above them, a flash of light. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Down," he shouted, pulling Lyra close. "Eh?" Laser bolt shot past them and hit a stone pillar. Guards came running. The shooter escaped into the night. Ryan looked at Lyra. That was a warning. Or a message. Lyra's face was pale, but her eyes were steady. "They're starting to act. I feared this day would come." He nodded. "We'd better move before they strike again." Back in his quarters, Ryan stared at the ceiling. He'd come here as a diplomat, not a soldier. But now, once again, he was in the middle of danger. And by his side was the one person he thought he'd never see again. Lyra, she was no longer the girl from the cave. She was a leader, a fighter. But in the quiet spaces between their words, he saw the same kindness, the same light. As he closed his eyes, he heard her voice again. "Do you remember me, human? I was the girl you shared a bed with years ago," he remembered, and now he would protect her with everything he had. The morning light of Zareth Prime was soft and white. Snowflakes floated gently in the air as the twin suns rose above the shining towers. Commander Ryan Hale stood at the window of his guest chamber, watching the city wake. He didn't sleep. Much. The attack from last night played over and over in his mind. Someone tried to kill Lyra, and that meant she was right, her enemies were. Already moving in the shadows, his old instincts came back quickly. He'd been trained for war, not diplomacy. Now he had to act like both. Behind him, the door opened. Lyra stepped in, wearing a long robe of soft blue. She looked calm, but her eyes showed worry. "We only have a little time," she said. "They will move faster now." Ryan turned to face her. "I need to know more, Lyra. Who are they? Who wants you out of power?" Lyra nodded and sat. "Down their name is the Purity Circle. They're a secret group inside our own council. They believe the Ilari must remain untouched by outside worlds." Ryan sat across from her. "And they hate humans most of all." "Yes," she said. "Especially after we welcomed Earth as a new ally. I pushed for that. I believed our people. And yours could learn from each other." He looked into her eyes. "You still believe that?" Her voice was steady. "Yes, even more now." They left the city quietly, using a hidden tunnel that Lyra remembered from her childhood. It led under the great towers and came out in the lower parts of the city, near the old crystal mines. Few people came here anymore. It was quiet and full of echoes. "I think the Purity Circle has a base somewhere down here," Lyra said. Heard whispers, secret meetings, hidden messages. Ryan looked around. This place would be perfect. Cold, dark, forgotten. He moved carefully, staying in the shadows. Ryan carried a small human scanner, and Lyra brought a glowing orb that lit their path with soft blue light. They reached an old storage room. Inside, broken tools and mining gear lay covered in dust. Then they found it, a communication device Ilari, tucked hidden under a loose floor panel. It was still warm. Lyra picked it up. Someone used this recently. Ryan checked the device. Encrypted messages. We'll need time to decode it. Suddenly, they heard voices. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand, and they ducked behind a metal beam. 2 Ilari figures entered. One wore the golden mark of a High Council member. Lyra gasped softly. "That's Counselor Kalos," Ryan whispered. "You know him?" "He's my cousin," she said. "He once supported peace. I didn't know he joined the circle." The other figure spoke. "Everything is ready. Lyra's time is over. When the summit begins, we make our move." Kalos nodded. "Chi. Be removed, and the humans will be blamed. The Vorkari are ready to help once we take control." Ryan's eyes narrowed. Vorkari, a dangerous alien empire, hostile to humans. This wasn't just a political fight. It was a full betrayal. The two, Ilari left. Ryan and Lyra stayed hidden until the echoes faded. "We have to stop them," Lyra said, her voice shaking. "We will," Ryan said. "But we need help." They returned to the upper city through a longer path. Lyra took Ryan to a secret meeting place, an old temple hidden in the crystal forest beyond the city walls. There, he met with 3 young Alari, loyal to Lyra. They were scientists, artists, and one was a former guard. "These are people I trust," Lyra said. "They believe in peace." Ryan explained everything they saw and heard, the betrayal, the plan, the connection to the Vorkari. One of the Alari, a young male named Saren, spoke up. "The Vorkari will destroy our world. Kalos is blind." "Greedy," Ryan added. "He wants power, doesn't care who gets hurt." Lyra held up the message device. "We found this. Can one of you break the encryption?" The scientist nodded. "Yes, give me some time." That night, Lyra and Ryan sat by a small fire inside the temple. Outside, snow fell again, it reminded them both of years ago. Lyra looked at him. "You changed, Ryan. You've seen more, fought more, but you're still the same man I knew." He gave a small smile. "You changed too. You're not the scared girl from the cave anymore." Looked into the fire. "Back then, I was just a healer in training. I had no power. I didn't even tell you my name. You gave me everything that mattered," Ryan said. "Kindness, hope, warmth." There was a long silence. Then Lyra spoke again, softer. "I was told to forget you, to see you as a mistake. But I never did." Ryan looked at her, his voice low. "I thought I imagined you sometimes. You were like a dream I had on a frozen world." She turned toward him. "I was real, and now we have a second chance." Before he could reply, Sarone rushed into the room. "I broke the code," he said. "You need to see this." The message from the hidden device was clear. A detailed plan. Kalos was preparing to make a public announcement at the upcoming Interworld Peace Summit. There, he would accuse Lyra of betraying the Alari. A false recording had been made using old footage from Ryan's time on Zareth. It's twisted to make it look like he and Lyra had a secret affair and made plans to weaken the Alari government. The message also showed that the Vorkari fleet was already near Zareth's space. "They plan to cause chaos," Saren said. "Then invite the Vorkari in as protectors." Ryan stood up. "You need to stop the summit." Lyra nodded, or crash it with the truth. The next morning, Ryan sent a secret message to Earth Command. He warned them about the Vorkari. Fleeton asked for backup just in case. Lyra prepared to face the summit, even if it meant risking everything. "I won't run," she said. "I was silent once. Never again." Ryan looked at her with pride. "Whatever happens, I'm with you." They touched hands gently, no words needed, as the suns rose once more over Zareth Prime. The wind howled through the mountains. But this time, the storm had 2 hearts standing strong. Zareth Prime's grand tower stood tall in the heart of the capital city. Inside its walls, the Interworld Peace Summit was only a day away. Delegates from across the galaxy were arriving, ambassadors, soldiers, traders, and leaders. Everyone expected it to be a celebration of unity, but deep below the surface, war was quietly growing. Lyra stood in front of a wide mirror in her private chamber. She wore a royal white robe with silver patterns. Her hair was tied back. She looked like a leader, but her heart was heavy. Ryan stood behind her. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. She looked at him in the mirror. "I know. That's why I called you here." They had returned from the secret temple just hours ago. With Saren's help, they decoded more messages from the device. The truth was clear. Kalos, her cousin, wasn't just trying to steal her place. He was working with the Vorkari, a brutal alien empire that wanted control over Zareth's crystal energy. If Kalos succeeded, the peace summit would end in disaster. The Vorkari would use the chaos to take over. Ryan placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "We need more than proof. We need people." She nodded. "Then let's find them." That evening, Ryan and Lyra moved through the city in secret. With hoods over their heads, they visited places where ordinary Alari gathered: markets, schools, and rest halls. They spoke with the people, asking quiet questions. Some feared Kalos. Others were confused. But many remembered Lyra's kindness over the years. She had helped during floods, fires, and sickness. She had walked among her people, not above them. She healed my daughter when no other counselor came. One Alari. Father said, she brought food to our village during the black snow, an old woman added. Slowly, small groups of Alari began to whisper again, not in fear. But in hope. Ryan knew it wasn't enough to stop the summit. But it was a start. Later, Ryan met Saren at an abandoned crystal tower on the city's edge. The young Alari had hacked deeper into the secret files. There's something big happening tonight, Saren said. Kalos is hosting a private meeting. All the key members of the Purity Circle will be there. No guards, just them. Ryan's eyes narrowed. We need to be there. It's risky, Saren warned. If they catch you, they'll kill you. Ryan's voice was cold. Then we don't get caught. Lyra was against the plan at first. But Ryan convinced her. If we get real proof or recording of them speaking, planning we can show the whole summit. No one will believe their lies then. Lyra agreed. But I'm coming with you.
Oh.
Ryan said quickly. It's too dangerous. Her eyes narrowed. You forget time not the girl hiding in a cave anymore. He sighed, then smiled a little. I never forget anything about you. That night, Ryan, Lyra, and Saren moved like shadows through the empty lower city. They reached an old hall carved into the side of a crystal hill. It once belonged to Zareth's warrior class, long gone now. Voices echoed from inside. Ryan set up a small recording drone. Lyra adjusted the signal. Saren kept watch. Through a crack in the wall, they saw the enemy. Kalos stood at the center. Around him, 12 LRs sat in a circle. They wore black robes with silver ring symbols of the Purity Circle. Kalos raised his hands. Tomorrow at the summit, we reveal Lyra's betrayal. The human will be blamed. Our people will turn against Earth, and the Vorkari will arrive to restore order. One robed Alari asked, and what of Lyra? Will she be removed? Kalos nodded. She will not live to see the next sunset. Lyra's eyes widened, but she stayed silent. The drone recorded everything, then dash. Click. A loose stone under Ryan's foot shifted. Inside, the voices stopped. Someone's there. One shouted. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand. Run. They ran through the tunnels as footsteps followed. Energy bolts flew past them, burning the walls. Saren stayed behind to block the path with falling rocks. Ryan and Lyra burst into the open night air. Snow whipped across their faces. Behind them, the hall exploded. Saran had triggered a blast. Lyra gasped. Saran. I looked back. Heart. Pounding, but then movement. Saren crawled out, coughing, alive. They pulled him to safety. I told you, he said weakly. I'm a genius. By morning, the truth was ready. The drone's recording was clear. Kellis's voice, his face. His words, Lyra prepared to speak at the summit. Her robe now held a gold stripe, the mark of a challenger to the current council. You know, Ryan said, standing beside her in the preparation room, this could still go wrong. She smiled. Yes, but I'd rather fall telling the truth than live with lies. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he placed something in her hand. A small charm. Rusty. Simple. The one she gave him years ago in the cave. It had been tied to his wrist the day he was rescued. You kept this? She asked softly. Always, he said. The peace summit began with light and song. Delegates from across the galaxy filled the grand dome. Kalos stood at the center. Began his speech. My friends, I come with heavy news. My cousin Lyra has betrayed our people. The humans. Stop. Lyra's voice rang out as she entered the circle. The crowd gasped. Behind her, Ryan walked in slowly and placed the recording device on the table. Let them hear, he said. The sound played. Kellis's voice, his plan. The truth. Silence fell. Then shouts. Cries. Some Alari counselors removed their robes in shame. Kalos tried to speak, but guards surrounded him. It's lies, he screamed. It's a trick. Lyra stepped forward. Then let the people decide. Later that day, the council declared Kalos a traitor. The Purity Circle was disbanded. The Vorkari ships were spotted at the edge of Zareth space, but they turned away when they realized the plan failed. Ryan stood on a high balcony with Lyra, watching the sky. "You saved your world," he said. "No," she replied. "We saved it below." People gathered, cheering Lyra's name. She looked at Ryan. "What happens now?" He shrugged. "That's up to you." She held his hand. "There's one more thing I haven't told you," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "That," she smiled. "I still remember how warm you were on that cold night." The city of Zareth Prime hummed with excitement and tension. The victory over Kalos and the Purity Circle had shaken the very foundation of the High Council. But the battle was not over yet. Lyra stood on the balcony of the High Council tower, her eyes scanning the horizon. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows across the Silver City. The peaceful glow hid the storm brewing beneath the surface. Beside her, Ryan Hale watched her carefully. "The council won't give up power easily," he said softly. "There will be more fights." Lyra nodded. "That's why I need to prepare." The summit exposed their weakness, but some still want to control Zareth. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You have friends now, people who believe in peace." Lyra looked at him, determination in her eyes. "And I have you." Inside the council chambers, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The remaining council members whispered, behind closed doors, plotting their next move. Kellis's arrest had sent a strong message. But power was a drug some were not willing to give up. The High Matriarch. Lyra's mother watched her daughters rise with a mixture of pride and fear. She had ruled for decades, keeping the council, united through wisdom and strength. But her time was ending. In a private room, the matriarch called Lyra to her side. "My daughter," she said, her voice tired but firm. "You have done well, but the council's fight is not over." Lyra bowed respectfully. "I am ready." Matriarch handed her a small crystal symbol of leadership. "You will be the next High Matriarch, but be careful. Your enemies are closer than you think." Back in the city streets, whispers spread fast. Some Alari were unhappy with the change. They feared humans and wanted to return to old ways. A secret group formed, stronger, more dangerous than before. Ryan and Lyra knew this. They had no time to waste. They began visiting allies, quietly young leaders, scientists, and soldiers who believed in a new future. They shared plans to protect the city, to guard the crystal energy reserves, and to expose the traitors. But the traitors were clever. They sent spies to follow Ryan and Lyra. Every move was watched. One evening, Ryan received a message. It was from Sarin, the young LRE scientist. "Meet me at the old mining tunnels." "Urgent," Ryan told Lyra. "We have to go." They traveled through the cold night to the tunnels. The air smelled of earth and old stone. Sarin was waiting, looking worried. "There's a plot," he said quickly. "The traitors plan to strike during the upcoming Festival of Light. They want to steal the crystal core that powers the city." Lyra's eyes flashed. "If they succeed, the city will fall into darkness. We must stop them." Ryan nodded. "Then we prepare." The Festival of Light was the most important event on Zareth Prime. The city would shine brighter than ever as crystal. Lights illuminated every street. Crowds gathered, laughing and singing. But beneath the joy, danger waited. Ryan, Lyra, and their team moved through the city's underpasses, watching for signs of trouble. Suddenly, alarms blared. "Attack!" a guard shouted. A group of masked warriors burst into the city center, wielding strange weapons that pulsed with dark energy. They moved fast. Breaking crystal lamps and cutting power lines, Ryan and Lyra sprang into action. Ryan pulled out his plasma pistol, firing at the attackers while protecting the fleeing crowd. Lyra used her command skills, shouting orders to the guards to organize defense. In the chaos, Lyra saw a shadow move toward the crystal Cora giant, glowing crystal that powered the entire city. A tall figure with black robes raised a weapon. Aiming at the core, Lyra didn't hesitate. She charged forward, using a force field to block the attack. The figure turned. It was Kellis's second in command, a cruel woman named Vezra. "You cannot stop the change, Lyra," Vezra hissed. "We are the change," Lyra said firmly. They fought fiercely. Lyra's energy shield clashed against Vezra's dark weapon. Sparks flew. Ryan joined the battle, helping to push back the attackers. With teamwork and courage, Lyra and Ryan's group defeated the attackers. The crystal core remained safe. The city's lights blinked back to life. The crowd cheered. The Festival of Light became a symbol of hope. After the battle, Lyra gathered her council. "We have won this fight," she said, "but the enemy hides. Still, we must root out the traitors." Ryan spoke up. "The galaxy is watching. We can't let fear and hate take over." Lyra looked around the room. "Then let us lead by example. Together." Days later, the High Matriarch officially stepped down, passing her crystal symbol to Lyra in a simple ceremony. Lyra took her place as the new High Matriarch of Zareth Prime. Ryan stood beside her, proud and silent, in the quiet that followed. Lyra found Ryan on the palace balcony. "You changed my world," she said softly. He smiled. "You changed mine." She looked at him, eyes shining. "Do you remember the cave where we first met?" He nodded. "I want you to come with me." She said, "To rule with me, to build a future." Ryan hesitated. "My place is here," she said, "but I want you by my side." He took her hand. Together. The stars shone brightly over Zareth Prime. Two worlds were no longer strangers. They were one. The air was crisp and still over Zareth Prime as the twin moons rose high in the dark sky. The city below sparkled like a jewel, its crystal lights shining brighter than ever before. Peace had come at last, but a new journey was about to begin, Commander. Ryan Hale stood at the palace balcony, looking out over the world he had come to love. Beside him stood Lyra, the new High Matriarch of Zareth Prime. Her silver hair caught the moonlight, and in her violet eyes reflected the stars above. For a long moment they stood quietly, side by side. Finally, Lyra spoke, her voice soft. "Do you remember the cave where we first met, Ryan?" He smiled, nodding slowly. "I do. It was cold and dark. I thought I wouldn't survive the night." She looked at him with a gentle smile. "I was cold too. You were my first warmth." Ryan's eyes met hers, filled with memories of that time when kindness was all they had. It had been 5 years since Ryan's ship crashed on Zareth Prime. Back then, it was lost and broken. The planet was foreign and dangerous. But Lyra, a young healer then, had found him. She had shared her warmth, her food, her trust. In those frozen nights, a silent bond had grown. Now, the roles had changed. Lyra was a leader, strong and wise. Ryan was a hero, trusted and respected. But beneath all the power and titles, the connection between them remained. Lyra turned toward him, taking his hand gently. "I want you to stay, not just as a guest, or an ally, but as my partner." Ryan's heart raced. He had dreamed of this moment, but reality was more intense than any hope. "I don't belong here," he said quietly. "My home is Earth." She shook her head. "Your home is where your heart is, and your heart is here with me." He looked at the stars, then back to her. "If I stay, it's not just for me. It's for us." The days that followed were filled. With new beginnings, Ryan helped rebuild the city's defenses, sharing Earth's technology and tactics with the Ellery. Lyra led her people with courage, working to heal the wounds left by the Purity Circle's betrayal. Together they visited villages, schools, and homes. They listened to the people's hopes and fears, and each night they returned to the palace, where quiet moments allowed their bond to grow stronger. One evening, under the glowing crystals of the palace garden, Ryan surprised Lyra. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, rough stone. It was the same one she had given him all those years ago, the first gift between them. "I kept this all these years," he said, "to remind me of you, of hope, of kindness." Eyes filled with tears. And I kept your scarf, the one you wrapped around me that night. They smiled, the distance of years melting away. But peace was not without its challenges. The Vorkari Empire still lingered at the edge of the galaxy, watching, waiting for a chance. One day a Vorkari warship appeared in orbit above Zareth Prime. The planet's alarms blared. Ryan and Lyra stood together on the command bridge of the palace. "This is a test," Ryan said grimly. "They want to see if we are weak." Lyra's voice was steady. "We are strong." Together, they sent a message to Earth, calling for support. The Vorkari demanded surrender. But Lyra refused. Her voice was broadcast across the galaxy. "Zareth Prime will never bow to tyranny. We stand with Earth and all those who believe in peace." The Vorkar threatened war, but the alliance between humans and Alari was stronger than anyone. Expected Earth sent reinforcements. Ships arrived, joining Zareth's own fleet. A battle erupted in space above Zareth Prime. Laser beams streaked across the stars. The Vorkari fought fiercely, but the human-Alari alliance was united. Ryan led a squadron of fighters, moving swiftly to protect the planet. Lyra coordinated the defense. Using her knowledge of the crystal energy to strengthen their shields, the battle was long and hard. But in the end, the Vorkari retreated, defeated. The victory brought new respect to the human-Alari alliance. Zareth Prime and Earth became symbols of hope for the galaxy. Back on the planet, Ryan and Lyra stood once more in the cave where they had first shared warmth so many years ago. The place was quiet and beautiful, filled with soft light. Lyra took Ryan's hand in hers. "Here where it all began," she said. He smiled. "You were my first warmth, Lyra, not just that night, but always." She leaned close. "And you were mine." They embraced, the cold world around them warmed by their bond. The galaxy was watching. And now it saw something new. Two different worlds, two different peoples, united by love, by trust, by hope.